Hello, it's June 2022. What does the sinking of two ships, wooden ships, bees being classified as fish in law, and my story all have in common? I'm going to start off by telling the story, a brief version of the sinking of these two ships. Now, the link for this story is in the description box, so if you're interested, check it out. It's actually a pretty interesting story, tragic ending. What can you expect? Now, just before I get into the story, real brief, just imagine the vastness of the ocean, how big it is, and these two wooden ships collided. You just have to think about what are the odds of that happening. Now, yes, you can argue, well, yes, fog, same shipping lanes and everything else, but still, it's not like you're in a crowded shopping mall parking lot where, you know, space is limited, right? But I digress. So these two ships had collided. There was a smaller one and a larger one. I'm going to be focusing on the story of the larger one because I think, at least for the topic of this video, it's interesting and it applies. So the ships were, or the one ship was sinking slowly. And during this time, three groups of 1/3 each had formed. The first group comprised, I believe, if I remember this correctly, mostly of women and children, some men, were accepting their fate. They knelt, they prayed, they realized that their doom was inevitable. The second group of 1/3 wanted to protect and help them, the first group, and started to build makeshift floating devices and rafts and stuff like that because, as always, there's never enough lifeboats. So that's, we'll call group 2. Now the third group, interesting group, realized their fate, accepted their fate, but what they ended up doing was raiding the liquor cabinets, getting drunk as fast as they can, and literally on a sinking ship in the middle of the ocean, decided to rape, pillage, and plunder. And I mean literally. Group 2, the guys were building and protecting, tried to defend Group 1 while they were building. You got to keep in mind these were probably little skirmishes that were happening, so it wasn't like an all-out battle all at once. Now, where you really start to see the point of this part of the story is just before these floating devices and everything were completed, and whatever lifeboats that they had were ready, they were going to board the women and children and then the men onto whatever it is that they put together. The third group, the drunkards, raided the first and second group, or tried to, but they ended up, use this word loosely, hijacking the lifeboats and the makeshift floating devices, platforms, and left. Now, that's really where I want to stop with that story, is the focus on three groups and how people's true colors shine through, who they are at their core. Of course, there might be the odd exception here and there, but a generally speaking, way of looking at it is people's true colors. How group 3, the drunkards, thought, okay, this is the end, and that's how they chose to live their last moments. And in the end, they decided, well, we're going to live take what other people had built, true colors, while group 2 built something, whether it be floating devices, a civilization. They built, and they try to defend what they built, and they try to defend the weak and the vulnerable, which in this case would be group 1. So we have these 3 groups. We see the true colors of group 2, the men who built and protected. And we have group 1 where they just, you can say, and I'm going to just use this as a descriptive because I'm linking this to civilization overall, where they just were the sheeple. I'm not saying women are sheeple or children. I'm creating an analogy here. True colors. How some people at their core can present themselves nice, conform to social norms, standards, and traditions and values, but their core are wicked. Their true colors shine through when there's nothing to hide behind, no reason to hide behind anything. So that's the point with the 2 sinking ships. Okay, so bees being deemed as fish in law. Well, apparently the United States, and I'm sure this applies to other countries as well, to protect these bumblebees, there's no statute or act or any provisions to protect bumblebees. I know it's hard to believe. And I'm not belittling the importance of bees. I'm just saying, whatever. So what law has done was interpreted whatever statutes, acts, and provisions that are available to protect these bees by classifying them as fish. Yes. In law, bees are classified as fish. I've said repeatedly how law has become like theoretical mathematics, neither of which has a base in reality. It all has to do with mental gymnastics. And it's this mental gymnastics that, for example, when innocent people are wrongfully convicted, I've said this repeatedly, every day this happens, we only hear about a small, tiny fraction of these cases because the ones we hear about and focus on are the ones where people are incarcerated for 10, 20, 30, 40 years even. And I'm not taking that away from these people who have suffered from that injustice. But my point is, this happens every day. And these bigger cases that I've mentioned are allowed, they occur because of the endless smaller cases. And you don't have to be incarcerated to have a life sentence in a prison. Think about that. Okay, so what does this have to do with this sinking ships? Well, true colors of a person. For example, group 3, the drunkards, came out. They wanted to, in the end, protect themselves. Law is used, for example, by people in various positions of authority to protect themselves, and they will throw others under the bus, innocent people under the bus, whether it be based on pride or just plain fear. Their true colors come out. Now, what do we see with my case, for example? How everyone threw me under the bus. Their true colors come out. And I said in a recent video how these are the very people who would throw gasoline on a homeless person who was sleeping and set them on fire. True colors. When you can throw someone under the bus so you don't have to take blame for your own, for example, stupidity or your own actions, your own horrors that you impose on others, and you throw other people on the bus, those are your true colors. That is who you are at a core. Now, some might say, well, but there's some sort of peer pressure or something, or peer pressure from whatever, as this example continues with various positions of authority. It doesn't matter, it's still your true colors. And the fact that people who throw others on the bus sleep well at night, probably, more than likely, think about, let's use my case for example. Everyone who lost their careers, had their careers compromised, or just simply found me as a nuisance, how they would point the finger at me for their own wrongdoings and their own injustice and whatever else, and say, well, it's my fault. They divert the responsibility, do mental gymnastics, not only with law, so they don't have to be held accountable, but they do mental gymnastics to ease their own conscience, to dehumanize the victim, in this case myself. And there's countless of other people. We see this, for example, with the Johnny Depp lawsuit, how his ex dehumanized him in her mind and justified everything that she did to him. And that type of thing happens all the time, every day, in family court, absolutely. And men, unfortunately, in this world of feminism, are victims to it. And feminism is now, or has been for some time, the #1 weapon used against men to destroy their lives. True colors are showing through. This is what I really want to just talk about, true colors. Now, I'm going to finish off here by saying, yes, everyone sitting, watching this video, would like to think that they would be the hero. I would save the women and children. I would MacGyver a raft, speedboat, and save everyone and be the hero of the day. I've talked about this over the past several years, how people are delusional, who they really are, outcomes, what their role is. Everyone wants to be the hero, but when push comes to shove, what are your true colors? I'm no saint in life, but despite everything that I've gone through, I try to help others best as I can. I'm not asking for a pat on the back. I haven't resorted to drugs and alcohol and a life of crime or anything else, because that's not me. And I've said repeatedly, although in my videos, a few more than others, I might show the really low side, the effects of post-traumatic stress or whatever on the surface, but at my core, all my life, I've been positive, optimistic, and really that's what has gotten me through life, through everything that I've shared. There's probably things that I haven't shared, more than likely things I haven't shared, but the reason why I keep going is because of my core being positive. So I may even cry in the video, be upset, maybe even a little bit angry, but looking at my life where I am now, true colors, well, I'll leave that for you to decide. Anyway, that's all I want to say. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me all the time, when is it going to get easier? When you die.